Okay, so this beef between Ryan Clark and Aaron Rodgers with Pat McAfee on the sidelines just went to a whole new level after RC dropped a video slamming the QB, calling him slimy, deceitful, and hypocritical. He didn't just stop there also, he went after Rodgers with his performance on the field and pulled out the receipts. Before I play Ryan Clark's video, I'm just going to give a quick rundown for those of you who are hearing about this for the first time, otherwise you can skip ahead to the video. It all started last week when Aaron Rodgers, while on the Pat McAfee show, called out ESPN analysts for their asinine takes. He said, "I'm talking about these experts on TV who nobody remembers what they did in their career, so in order for them to stay relevant, they have to make comments that keep them in the conversation. That wasn't going on in 2008 and 2009. The Sports Center of my youth, those guys were making highlights so much fun, and that's what they showed on Sports Center." So I don't think many would disagree with this comment. We all have seen sports media devolve over the last decade, but it is what it is, and times are different. People will complain about these shows for their asinine takes and coverage of the same topics over and over again, but at the end of the day, those same people still consume and watch these shows as evident by the ratings. Anyways, Ryan Clark took issue with those comments and basically went off on Aaron Rodgers on First Take last Friday, calling him a fraud and saying that Aaron was criticizing the exact same thing he was being paid to do on Pat's show. Then a couple days ago, Rodgers responded to RC and basically asked him about his vax status. So that's what's happened in the past week or so, and now RC dropped a video and went ham on Aaron Rodgers. Here's that clip.
Wanted to make sure all your people knew it was me. Here is why I called Aaron Rodgers, or why I called you a hypocrite. Because you're actually on ESPN talking about my fellow colleagues and the people I work with, saying that now, because they are former players and weren't as great as players of you as you were, you feel like, or they feel like they're the stars. And that's not it. TV has changed. It's more about opinion and the informed opinion of people who have played the game. What's hypocritical about what you said is you said it while on TV with Pat McAfee, who has done an amazing job with this platform. And even though he was an all-pro punter, he's now extremely famous and more well-known for what he does in his post-career. Even more hypocritical of you is that you're sitting across from three people who have never played the game. And they are also entitled to talk about football in a very informed way, because if we've learned anything from Mina Kimes, you don't actually have to step on the field to be excellent at the job of analyzing football. And I spoke to that hypocrisy because you were getting paid to do that, which Pat said you deserve to. And that is why you received the money that you did, at least initially, because of what you brought to his platform. Now, let me be clear, because I know you want us to list these things. My name is Ryan Clark. Played 13 years in the NFL, been to 2 Super Bowls. I have as many rings as you do. I was the captain of 2 separate football teams. I'm also an Emmy winner. I'm also the co-host, owner, and partner of an Emmy-nominated podcast called The Pivot. Now, I know something else you were very interested in was my vaccination status. And yes, I'm vaxxed because I have no spleen, I have no gallbladder, because of playing in Denver and being willing to go back, honestly, and play again. Because I've been in those locker rooms, and I've talked to people that have been in the locker rooms with you. I have the stories. I have all the things that they said that informed my opinion of who you are. And as far as your vaccination status, so you can stop trying to trick people into thinking that we want to talk about that above the stink of your film, I've never heard it one more time after your incident. And the only reason we spoke about it then was because based on your vaccination status, it was going to determine how long you were out. And also, people didn't care that you weren't vaccinated. They cared that you were slimy about it. They cared that you were deceitful about it. And they cared that you had this air of arrogance when answering the questions about it. And you've kind of only been the only person that's talked about it since. But let me be very, very clear. My job is to analyze you. You've decided to analyze me. And in analyzing you, what I know is your QBR is 21st. I also know that you're the quarterback of a 4-10 team who has to win the last 3 games of the season to even be equal to what last year's team was without you. No, I get it. You get on the show and you talk about my brooch and you curse and all this tough talk. I just need you to know, don't none of that scare me. I'm gonna do my job the way I'm supposed to do it. I feel no way about not being able to talk about what the film says because of what my career was. And if you continue to be arrogant or smug or hypocritical and it pertains to my job, I'm gonna do it. And I wanna remind you again, I'm Ryan Clark. 13 years, Emmy winner, host of an Emmy-nominated podcast. And speaking of that jealousy and guest stuff, The Rock, Kevin Hart, Mike Tomlin, Devontae Adams, Joe Burrow, Shaq, just to name a few. No money, just relationships, conversations, and respect. It's what I tried to give you. And we'll keep it that way as long as you want it like that. Appreciate you.
Okay, so first off, I kind of see where both sides are coming from. RC has every right to criticize Rodgers for his performance on the field. However, I do think it is a bit more personal with Aaron Rodgers. He, along with former players and analysts like Shannon Sharpe, Colin Cowherd, Nick Wright, and others, have been criticizing Aaron Rodgers not only on the field, but as a person over the last few years. You would hear them calling Rodgers aloof, a know-it-all, and all sorts of other names disparaging him. I think part of this came from Greg Jennings, who just so happened to work with all those people I mentioned at FS1, and he was pretty outspoken and very critical of Rodgers as a teammate. But then you have James Jones, another former teammate who has spoken glowingly about his former QB, and also Devontae Adams, who seems to be pretty tight with Aaron off the field. Basically, what I'm trying to say is on a 53-man roster, you're going to have people that you don't get along with. That said, I'm going to leave you with this clip here of Marcellus Wiley, who also worked at FS1, and listen to what he said about Aaron Rodgers and his relationship with his former teammates. It's kind of along the same lines as what I said.
But the most damning part was the fact that Ryan Clark started off saying how he and others can give their unbiased, objective takes, but then go to a place where you went straight assumption. You don't know what people are saying about Aaron Rodgers in terms of following him. You only know what the media is saying. Because I know some of his teammates that actually love him, rock with him. He works out here proactive. Every offseason, Aaron Rodgers is out here, Westlake Village. Come on, y'all. Don't let me start giving y'all some real receipts. Catch food with Aaron Rodgers. Not everybody, and it's, once again, not the choice thing to say right now. It's not the popular thing to say. And part of it is people say it and you don't even hear it. You don't even want to hear it because you're like, whatever, man. I'm waiting for what I know. Confirmation bias. Confirmation bias about Aaron Rodgers is don't like him. So you're waiting for those sound bites.